evening and a very warm welcome to the Guild Elections Results Night with me, this evening's presenter, Asha. Your votes have been counted and throughout this much anticipated evening, we will be bringing you all the action live here on Guild TV. Our presenter Shreya is live in the underground where the winning candidates will be announced. Shreya, how's it going down there?
Thanks, Asha. I'm definitely sensing some nerves, but overall I'm sure as more people begin to arrive, the anticipation will increase. In just 30 minutes, the results of this year's elected candidates will be announced here in the underground of the Guild. Throughout the evening, I'll be catching up with some of our previous officers and this year's new candidates, so stay tuned.
Thanks, Shreya. I look forward to hearing more from you later. Now, here in the studio to help us understand the election process, we have Rishi, our analyst for this evening. Welcome to the show, Rishi. We're very pleased to have you here. So, how have you been involved in the elections this year?
Hi, Asha. Great to be here. So, as an analyst, I've essentially been deep diving into all of the candidates' manifestos, and I have to assess their arguments as to why we should vote for them. Being an economics student, one thing I can really appreciate this year across all the candidates is how many of their manifestos tackle real-world student issues like the housing crisis, for example, and what their plans are regarding them.
Brilliant. And how do you think our mental health as students is impacted by real-world issues? Is there anything specific that comes to mind?
Well, in the current times, the cost of living has had a huge impact on all of us as students. So our mental health is impacted as well. You know, dealing with budgets and financial issues, as well as this transition period that we all have to face, moving from our parents' house, then suddenly having to deal with living on our own, as well as our finances, as well as dealing with the academic side, as well as then balancing a social life. It can all be a bit much for us, can't it?
Definitely.
So this added pressure can have an effect on us, and the fact that mental health has come to the forefront this year as a big issue is something that really excites me.
Definitely. And what is the role of social media within these campaigns, and how do you think candidates leverage these tools to connect with the voters?
Well, I think the biggest factor that social media has provided for the campaigning officers this year is outreach. I mean, I've managed to be exposed to these elections as well as even some of the officers and some of their manifestos just by scrolling passively through Instagram or through some of the social media, or even while checking my student emails, right? So this exposure is what nudges the candidates to win those extra votes. We all know that our time can be really short as students with all of this balancing that we have to do, and can be quite hectic, to say the least. So anything that can make our lives more convenient, including social media, to then be involved in these elections and get the votes in, is what will allow us to vote, essentially, and for the candidates who win to win. 100%.
Well, thank you, Rishi. Really informative to hear about how mental health has come to the forefront of this year's candidates' campaigns. Now we are going to hear about the learning process and the process behind the Guild elections.
Here at the Guild, we use ATV, which stands for Alternating Transferable Vote System, which makes sure that your vote goes farther along and counts in a more meaningful way.
In Australia, ATV is used in federal and state elections to decide who gets into the House of Representatives. Here in the UK, ATV is used especially in electing mayors and members of parliament in some areas.
He is their head and chairman.
And in Ireland, they use them in the presidential elections too.
Boring, am I right? But you know what? Here's something that might actually get your attention. This system, it was used to vote for your favourite directors and films in the Academy Award. And yes, you're right, the Oscars.
Alright, here's how the glorious ATV system works. The alternative voting system employs a preferential hierarchy wherein candidates are ranked. If no contender secures a majority, the least voted candidate is systematically eliminated and their votes are redistributed according to subsequent preferences. This iterative process persists until a candidate achieves a conclusive majority, ensuring a more representative consensus. Did you get it? Neither did I. I just read it straight off the script.
Let's say all the students in the university get to vote for the chocolate that should be distributed to everyone during a fair. You get to rank the chocolates by preference. Maybe you loved Kit Kat first, Snickers second, Twix third, and Bounty last, or any other order. If one chocolate receives more than 50% of the votes, it wins outright. However, if no chocolate reaches that majority, the voting continues. The chocolate with the fewest first preference votes is eliminated first. In this case, Bounty doesn't stand a chance. Voters who selected Bounty as their first choice will have their votes transferred to their second preference. The process repeats with the lowest ranked chocolate being eliminated until one flavour eventually secures over 50% of the votes and wins. This ensures that the chocolate with the most overall support emerges victorious, even if it wasn't everyone's first choice.
Now, you may ask, why the ATV? It's simply because it's fairer. In UK general elections, voters will mark an X on a ballot paper so that they can vote for the candidate that they prefer. Although this may seem fairer because the candidate with the most votes win, that's simply not true. Let's say 100 people get to decide the chocolate distributed at a fair. Now, Bounty would win with 32 points. However, 68 people don't agree with this. And why should the majority suffer just because some don't have taste?
Welcome back. I am now delighted to be joined by Alex Keane, the current Education Officer. Hi Alex, thank you so much for joining.
Hi, nice to meet you guys.
So, what is your biggest achievement within your role as Education Officer this year?
So I think this year there's been quite a few achievements, and a lot of those have been down to the team in Student Voice and the Student Reps team as well. But this year we've managed to recruit a record number of student reps. So we've got over 1,800 student reps, which is really positive, and I think it's a 40-something% increase on last year, and something I'm really proud of. And then we've kind of continued the ongoing development of the student reps as well. These speak and lead sessions, which is continuous monthly training for student reps to get involved with, as well as bringing in a student rep forum to bring together some of our elected reps to kind of sometimes just therapize with each other and share how difficult the roles can be, but also a way to share best practice and to develop their skills better for the future, which has been really positive, I felt.
Amazing. Thank you.
What initiatives do you hope to see from the newly elected Education Officer?
So I think the Education Officer role can tend to be quite a procedural one. You go to a lot of meetings over at the university, but I think this year is a really exciting year because it's the university's 125th year, which means there's loads of really cool stuff going on campus and a lot of different things that an Education Officer can get involved with. They're often the person, and I have been this year, the person who gets consulted around any engagement projects. So being able to bring education into the 125th anniversary would be something I'd really be interested to see them do.
Brilliant. And are there any particular manifestos or candidates this year that stood out to you?
I think this year's been a really strong year. There's a lot of really great candidates to be Education Officer, and that's really positive. I think it's double the candidates from last year as well, and they're all great, and I'm not going to pick a favourite, but it is really great to see that we've got some people who have been school reps and college reps running, which is exactly the pipeline we've wanted to see, people becoming a student rep as a volunteer and then standing in election as a rep and then going on to become an officer. So that's been something that's been really great to see, and I'd be happy with any of them winning. I think they're all great candidates.
Amazing. Well, thank you for coming on, Alex.
No,
it was lovely to speak to you, and well done for all your work as Education Officer last year, and we'll let you get seated downstairs.
Thank you very much, guys.
So now, for the first time this evening, let's take a look at this year's candidates. In our part-time positions for Disabled Students Officer, we have Simkar Kerbel, Olivia Bonner, and Reopen nominations. For Ethnic Minority Students Officer, we have Ansh Sajif, Sarah Nantongo, Ronak, Hamna Zaman, and Reopen nominations. For LGBTQ+ Officer, we have Malachi Moran Tun, Aidan Drinkwater, and Reopen nominations. For Women's Officer, we have Lucy McCabe, Jasmine Lowen, Samar Eldasuki, Riona Mano Thankaraj, Mimiya Islam, Ken Kelawali, Nitya Priya, and Reopen nominations. For Trans and Non-Binary Students Officer, we have Lawrence Rome, Sabrina Ahmed, and Reopen nominations. Next, running for Sustainability Officer, we have Alex Goff, Ishita Sohani, Karan Singh Awana, Payal Garg, Raghavendra Ray, Max Williams, and reopen nominations. In our full-time positions for Sports Officer, we have Daniel White, Danishka Ramagowda, Urbajit Patel, and reopen nominations. Then for Activities and Employability Officer, we have Megha Kabsuri, Devansh Jahamani, Matti Widop, Surav Mondal, Emmeline Brown, and reopen nominations. Next, for Education Officer, we have Fionn Williams, Sophie Smith, Jacob Dyke, Sam, Ratakshi Maheshwari, Rajveer Singh Rathore, and reopen nominations. Then for International Officer, we have Dolby Gautam, Simra Inamada, Varvanik, Joy Sharon John, Yusuf Ozdemir, Lanya Esley Williams, Tanish Aku, Athira Ajay, Nandini Borgahan, and reopen nominations. For Postgraduate Officer, we have Dennis Marin, Anamanique Punjabi, Aliska Gandhi, Himaja Kanuri, Anushka Bhaskar, Piyush Umathan, and reopen nominations. For Welfare and Community Officer, we have Abby Kenrick, Mariam Chugtai, and reopen nominations. And finally, for President, we have Syed Sadat, Randolph Fields, Antonia Lizrat, Samira Bindu Nair, Vinishka Agarwal, Atul Ruhal, and reopen nominations. Now we are going to hear from Hope Aquilini, our current Welfare and Community Officer, to find out what she's been up to in the last year throughout her role.
I'm the current Welfare and Community Officer for 2024 to 25. So my role is to act as a representative for all students at Birmingham and to represent them in areas such as housing, safety, mental health and cost of living, to lobby on students' behalf for issues that matter to you. In November, I attended a mental health and wellbeing conference in London, and this was with Universities UK. So this was an opportunity to get together with both officers and mental health professionals from universities across the UK to share best practice, share key initiatives, and to make sure that any sort of scheme that the university was running was really student focused and addressed the areas that students needed the most. And also recently I ran an event in collaboration with the community safety team, the university and with West Midlands Police. This was called Brunch and Be Heard, and this was an opportunity for students to come together and to learn a little bit more about what the university is doing to keep students safe, both on campus and in the local community. We also had guest speakers such as local MP and community organisations. This year we've continued to run the community breakfast scheme, which allows students to access a free breakfast every Wednesday morning in Mermaid Bar. This has been a really lovely way to not only give students free food, but also the chance to meet other people and have a chat. There's a really nice community feel there. I've also worked to support students with information about how to cut down on your usage during winter if you're living in private accommodation and to keep warm, including a stall in Refreshers Week where I gave away energy-saving items and information about what to do if your house has damp or significant disrepair. I've launched a new community cookbook where students can submit their favourite recipes, both from home or from their time at university. And this is a really lovely way to learn about low-cost, batch cooking meals that you can create, and also learn a little bit more about the diversity of food we have on campus.
It's great to hear how involved our welfare officer has been with the student community. I really love the idea of the community cookbook, and I can't wait to see how the new candidates will carry on Hope's brilliant work. Now, let's hear from Shreya in the underground.
Thanks, Asha. Things here are really heating up as we get closer to finding out who our new elected officers will be for 2025. Meanwhile, I'm very happy to be joined by Lara Parker, our current sports officer. Lara, how are you feeling this evening?
Oh, I'm so excited. It's nice to be on the other side of it this year, so I'm not even nervous. I'm just excited to find out and excited for everybody else to know as well.
Great, it's really great to have you here. So what initially made you want to campaign and get involved in elections?
Oh, so many reasons. The opportunity from like the job side of things to get involved in like sport management and also like events management that this role just offers you so much great experience with, and then also the opportunity to provide like underrepresented students with opportunities that they otherwise might not have. Yeah.
Focuses on the well-being of our students.
So this year I've implemented a few things. The intro to classes in UB Sport that hopefully remove some of those barriers that otherwise people would have going to like gym classes that can otherwise be like super intimidating. And then like de-stressival as well.
Wow, that sounds really interesting. You mentioned de-stressival. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so de-stress will be running in the exam periods for all the students to get involved with, and it's just about prioritising their mental health throughout those really stressful and busy periods of their life.
Brilliant, that sounds amazing. Thank you so much, Lara. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
It's great to hear about the work that Lara has implemented this year. Now, let's take a look at how sport benefits the mental health of our students within societies and teams at UOB.
Well, hello, my name's Fergus. I play for Match of the Day, which is a social football club at the Uni of Birmingham.
As someone who spent their entire time playing university social sport, in your case playing for Match of the Day, which is a social football team, how much did that kind of elevate your university experience?
So when I joined in Freshers, everyone's in the same boat. For me especially, I wanted to play football, but I tried for Bucks, didn't get in. In my case, I was lucky with my flat. I got on pretty well with them. I'm living with a few of them now. But a lot of the lads that sort of play and have played sort of second, third years now, they didn't really have so much of an outlet, and so I felt like Match of the Day was a good way to meet like-minded people, and obviously common interest in football, which is always good way of keeping fit, having a good laugh. Overall I think it's probably up there, one of the best things I've done since kind of uni. To be fair, I think Match of the Day is a good sort of balance between them both. I think there is a bit of a myth that sort of social sport isn't competitive, because so for me, obviously, the Bucks trials are it feels a bit weird because everyone wants to play football. Like a lot of boys and girls want to play football when they go to uni, and then obviously such a big club, it's hard to filter out the players. And so there's still, like, looking back to when I did trials, there's a lot of good sort of lads that didn't get in the Bucks team but still played a high quality. And like I say, sort of Match of the Day, the social aspect is good.
In terms of like mentally, that must be a good coping mechanism. As a good outlet of kind of the stresses of uni life. Is there any word you've got on that?
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of obviously being third year now, I've got sort of this looming, and my social life takes a bit of a hit. So because you've got to obviously focus on your degree slightly more, and that this sort of progresses throughout uni. But obviously having Match of the Day, the social football, it's a good outlet. So every Saturday, sort of meet up with your mates, and for that sort of like afternoon, you can take your mind off the studying. The social sec, he organises some good sort of socials with the team, and I think because of that, it takes away where obviously university is a very sort of like taxing course. Like the studying can be quite intense at times, and I think obviously having this outlet, the social sort of aspect to it is always good mentally as well.
So with this being your final year playing for Match of the Day, in terms of Match of the Day specifically, what has that kind of meant to you over the last 3 years?
Match of the Day, like for me, is probably up there with, if not the best decision I made coming to uni, in terms of what it's given me over the past 3 years. I've had sort of played football throughout competitively, also sort of met loads of people. I've got sort of lifelong mates, a couple of lads I'm living with now, Judge Big, so I met them through Match of the Day, it's sort of the connection that's sort of given me, it's given me a sort of wider sort of circle of mates, and plus it's given me an outlet of, obviously university is a bit of a tough thing to sort of go into. Obviously a lot of lads in that this is the first time sort of living away from home, And I think in terms of match of the day, it gave me sort of like a community sort of feel. Yeah, it's good to have the sort of that circle of group mates and that you can rely on. And yeah, overall, I think in terms of like socially, competitively, in terms of making mates, and as a sort of club, I think it's up there with one of the best things I've done since coming to uni.
Well, there we have it. That's Fergus Evans, a man that has become my friend through playing for Match of the Day as well, but also a man who has clearly had a positive impact from social sport at university. Thank you, Ferg.
That was great to hear, but for now, Rishi, I'm interested to get your thoughts on some of our candidates and their manifestos. So, which candidates do you think are looking the most promising tonight?
Well, out of the 6 candidates for president, 2 candidates have especially grabbed my attention, one of which is actually the current president, Syed Sadith. I have really liked the progress he's made throughout the year, especially regarding the lobbying the ethical investment policy reforms, which has obviously been really prevalent this year, as well as being more in touch with students via this podcast that he's actually introduced. I think that's been a really good way of not only actually seeing what the president's been doing throughout the year instead of just hearing it through the grapevine. And some of his proposed future initiatives actually do seem really intriguing as well. And I'm curious to see how he implements them in the next year. One of which that stood out is actually using AI, which is obviously the talk of the town, with students' mental health. So I'm very curious to see how he'd implement that. But he's delivered this year pretty successfully. So I'd like to see, should he be elected, how he would do it next year.
Definitely. I think the idea of the podcast is a brilliant way of connecting students, especially in our age group. And the AI initiative, I think, sounds very current as well. So who else looks promising?
Well, the other president candidate that caught my eye has been Atul Ruhal. And that's because of his unique and direct, no-nonsense sort of attitude towards the mental health initiatives this year. One initiative that he's really pushing for in this sort of topic is this no questions asked mental health days, which is basically these 2 days per semester every student gets, where they can either extend their, I'm guessing they can either extend their assignments or take 2 days off without having to usually give in a doctor's note or any proper reason.
Yeah.
And I think that can be important because I think every student nowadays, with all the pressures, cost of living pressure, the housing crisis pressure, do sometimes need that extra alleviates. The other initiative is this one-stop centralised service for all student concerns.
Brilliant. I think the direct approach is amazing for a president, especially due to the topic of mental health being so vital. So what is this one-stop initiative?
So at the moment, regarding all the different issues that students have to face, whether that's finances, mental health, academic life, they have to sort of go through different email domains or different services, different networks throughout UOB, which can obviously be a little bit draggy. It can drag on a little bit. Whereas I think what Atul wants to do is introduce this one-stop service which can tackle any issue that any student wants to face straight away. And that gets rid of that sort of blag time and allows the students' concerns to really be tackled straight on. How feasible it will be, I'm not so sure. But it'd be interesting, should he be elected, to see that actually be followed through.
It'll definitely be interesting to see. So are there any other promising candidates you've seen?
As for non-president candidates, for example, looking at the Activities and Employabilities Officer section, Emmeline Brown is one candidate that caught my eye. She has a very social, community feel attitude, which definitely stuck out compared to the other candidates. And she has that towards the Guild, and I really appreciate her emphasis on getting those students connected and integrating them more by integrating the societies more. So I think we can all appreciate that the Guild has some really strong societies, sports societies, academic societies. I mean, I'm personally part of the Economic Society, for example. But one thing that I think Emmeline wants to do is create that, integrate the societies more, between the different types, whether that's sport or non-sport, and get them more connected together. And some of the ideas in which how she'll do that do seem quite feasible, and they are actually very interesting concepts. For example, her introduction of a loyalty card, that's what she proposes, in which students would be incentivized to be more involved, whether as a student rep or more on campus, to take a job on campus, for example, and they get rewarded around campus. And I can see that. I mean, I know I'd be incentivized to do that.
Yeah, I would definitely be as well. I think the loyalty card sounds so promising, and definitely some exciting things in the manifesto that could be used for next year. So, seems like mental health is an ongoing theme this year. Is there any way you could succinctly, short and sweet, just say how that has made students connect with this campaign more than past ones?
Well, I think mental health has always been crucial, and it's always been in sort of the backbone of every other initiative of every year. It's important for the students to feel supported.
Definitely.
And I think the Guild and the officers need to take more responsibility, and they have to understand that it's their responsibility to make sure students feel supported during hard times like exam season.
100%. Well, thank you very much, Rishi. That was very informative. So we are so close to the moment we have all been patiently waiting for, but for now, let's take another brief look at the part-time candidates running for positions this year. In our part-time positions for Disabled Students Officer, we have Simkar Kerbel, Olivia Bonner, and Reopen nominations. For Ethnic Minority Students Officer, we have Ansh Sajif, Sarah Nantongo, Ronak, Hamina Zaman, and Reopen nominations. For LGBTQ+ officer, we have Malachi Moran-Tun, Aidan Drinkwater, and Reopen nominations. For women's officer, we have Lucy McCabe, Jasmine Lowen, Samar Eldasuki, Riona Mano Thankaraj, Mimia Islam, Ken Kelawali, Nitya Priya, and Reopen nominations. For Trans and Non-Binary Students Officer, we have Lawrence Rome, Sabrina Ahmed, and Reopen nominations. Next, for Sustainability Officer, we have Alex Goff, Ishita Sohani, Karan Singh Awana, Payal Garg, Raghavendra Ray, Max Williams, and Reopen nominations. Now, the results are in, and we have reached the moment you have all been waiting for, where we will be finding out who will be elected leaders of your student guild from 2025 to 2026. Let's head over to the underground to hear the results. Join me afterwards, where we will be asking our newly elected officers some questions.
that it can be an exciting but stressful week, but you've all done amazingly well, putting yourself forwards to support our student experience. So can we please give another round of applause to all of our candidates. The Guild is home to all students, and the elected full-time and part-time officers are critical for creating positive change during their time in the role. This is not only to make the Guild and the University a better place, but to make students across the University of Birmingham community are heard and supported. We, as the Guild, could not exist without the input, ideas and passion which students bring each and every day to campus life. And I'm incredibly excited to see how the successful candidates will be leading the way and empowering the student voice for the next academic year. This brings me to a particularly special part of the night, where we say thank you to some very wonderful people for all of their input and support during the elections. I'd like to thank our student voice and representation team for their incredible hard work in supporting candidates and putting them all in to make our elections work for all of you. Many thanks also to our communications team for constantly reminding us of the need to vote and for what that means to the student body. Our senior management team have been incredibly supportive as well behind the scenes, giving us all the moral support to keep going. Our student groups who've been amazing in creating election awareness and engaging the wider student body. In particular, we want to thank Guild TV, Jess Thompson, Emma Gracie, Paige Archer, Caitlin Hayes, Sophia Islam, Molly Purcell, Jane Baston, James Lindsay, Adam Sheridan and Joe Thomas. Finally, thank you to all the students that voted. You've raised your voices and you've made your choices, and you've done your bit to drive change and influence the Guild's priorities for the next year. I can now confirm that the total number of votes in this year's officer elections was 9,346, which is Now, I'd like to welcome Ed Butler, who's Deputy Director of Legal Services, to the stage on behalf of the University.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here to represent the returning officer for the Guild's officer elections held this last week. The Guild does excellent work to represent the interests of its students from all backgrounds, countries and walks of life. In addition, through the wide variety of services the Guild offers through student activities and groups, to student voice, academic representation and Guild advice, events and activities in the university accommodation, and its commercial services, the Guild works to benefit all students at the university. Through the strong leadership of its elected officer team, the Guild has made a great impact in enhancing the experience of students here. So far this year, the Guild officers have led on work to support students through the cost of living crisis with the community pantry, the weekly community breakfast and financial hardship funds in place to support students with sports, graduation and general living expenses in order to ensure that they can access what they need and to help to build communities. They've supported student groups to run over 500 events and activities since September and launched the activities dashboard to support student-led committees to operate safely and to improve efficiency. They've supported students to live more sustainably through events such as the Selly Oak Nature Walk, Big Green Quiz and Go Green Bingo. And they've supported 1,700 student reps in representing their classmates and worked in partnership with the university to secure more undergraduate student research internships as part of the university's 125th year anniversary. The current Guild officers should be congratulated on their professionalism and their strong leadership throughout their term in office so far, and I'm sure that their remaining time in office will be filled with many more achievements. On to this year's officer team elections. Voting was held between the 10th and the 14th of March, and as the representative for the Registrar and Secretary, who's the returning officer for the elections, I can confirm that the returning officer is satisfied that the elections have been run in a free and fair manner. Any complaints regarding the elections were to be submitted by no later than 2 hours after the close of voting. If any student wished to make an appeal against a ruling on a complaint by the nominee for the returning officer, they were required to do so within 48 hours of the outcome of the complaint being communicated to them. Please note that all results announced tonight are therefore provisional until the election has been concluded by the returning officer, and this will occur after any complaints and appeals have been finally determined. Results will be confirmed as soon as possible, but not less than 5 working days after the close of ballots. And I will now hand you over to Lara.
Before we announce these awards and for all results going forward, I would just like to explain the process. Throughout the evening, we will ask candidates to go to the dance studio just before the announcement of their particular role to be informed of their results of the role that they are standing for. This will be in pairs of roles for part-time officers and for each role individually for full-time officers. Candidates don't have to hear the results beforehand and can stay in the underground if they wish. If you do decide to hear the result beforehand, we will ask that you stay in the dance studio until we start announcing the results on stage. We ask that you do not share the result before it is announced on stage. Please bear with us throughout the process, as we may need to slightly pause the announcement of a result if the dance studio is running slightly behind. Once the result is announced, if your name is called out as the winner, please come up to the stage via the staircase at the front. You will then need to collect your certificate and further information about the role in one of the envelopes behind me. For those of you who are elected as officers this year, you will have the opportunity to say a few words to the audience if you'd like to, and that we ask that you return from the stage the same way and take your seat. We realise that tonight can be fun, but an overwhelming experience. Should you need a quiet space, the dance studio situated through the doors to the left-hand stage and up the hallway will be staffed throughout the evening. Staff will also be on hand if you'd like to take a breather or be provided with further information on the support available to you as a candidate. We also have a member of the Student Voice team in the space who, following the results of each officer position, will have the results in more detail if you would like to look over them. Candidates may be aware that Guild TV will be conducting interviews during the night. For part-time officer roles, this will be across the evening and during the break. For our elected full-time officer roles, you'll be invited down to the Guild TV studios for an interview after the results. Before we start, can I ask the candidates standing for women's officer and trans and non-binary students officer to go to the dance studio? Now it's time for some fun awards. First off is the Election Sunshine Award. This goes to a candidate who's shown ultimate positivity throughout the week to both their fellow candidates and staff. And this award goes to Lucy McCabe. Well done, Lucy. We decided to give Lucy the award because she just didn't stop smiling the whole week and she was just a true ray of sunshine. Next up is the Most Creative Social Media Award. This goes to the candidate who's shown the most engaging or overall fun online campaign over voting week. And this award goes to Max Williams. We decided to give Max this award due to his, and I'm sure you're all aware, brat video. And the final award is for the most unique campaigning tactic. This award goes to somebody who engaged with a range of voters throughout different and memorable and fun techniques across the week. This award goes to Devansh Jimnani. We decided to give Devansh the award for his work on engaging with the Chinese population at the university. Now the moment you've all been waiting for, it's time to announce the results, starting with your part-time officers. First, I'm going to be announcing the results for women's officer. Sorry, Jane. It's gonna... It's all right, I fixed it. Sorry. The candidates in this election are Mimia Islam, Lucy McCabe, Kalwali Juttapanya, Riana Manu Thankaraj, Sama El Dasuki, Nithya Priya, thank you, Guadal Lahali, Shiviska Prankanash Rao, Jasmine Lowen, and reopen nominations. Sorry for the butchering of that. But we just need to give them a second in the dance studio. Oh, brilliant. Oh, I'd love to tell you all about my hard work this year with the Sport Access Fund. We have awarded, and I will finish that later. In total, there were 4,657 votes cast in this election, with 7 rounds of voting. In the 4th round of voting, Mimia Islam received 693 votes. Lucy McCabe received 1,237 votes. Kalwali Juttapanya received 767 votes, and Jasmine Lowen received 854 votes. At each round of voting, the candidates with the least amount of votes were eliminated until a successful candidate was determined. At the 5th stage of voting, Mimia Islam was excluded with 693 votes. At the 6th stage of voting, Kalwali Juttapanya was excluded with 794 votes. In the final round of voting, Lucy McCabe received 1,329 votes, and Jasmine Lowen received 902 votes. I therefore declare that Lucy McCabe is duly elected to serve as the Guild of Students Women Officer for 2025-26. I'd like to welcome Lucy to the stage.
It's been such a tough campaign, you know. I've been slated, and that's not a pun. You know, the harassment and intimidation I've received has just tried to get me down. But I want to uplift other women. I can't. You know, I want to make us safer and stronger together. And I want to shout out my mum, who told me not to shout her out, but I will, because she's currently going through breast cancer. And, you know, I really wanted to make this about uplifting other women, like I said. And, yeah, sorry. Thank you so much. And thanks to those people who voted and supported me. Sorry.
before I announce the next result, can I ask the candidates for Ethnic Minority Students Officer and Sustainability Officer to go to the dance studio? The next part-time officer position to be announced will be the Trans and Non-Binary Students Officer. The candidates in this election are Sabrina Ahmed and Lawrence Rome, and reopen nominations. In total, there were 3,271 votes cast in this election, with one round of voting. In the first round of voting, Sabrina Ahmed received 1,680 votes. Lawrence Rome received 1,360 votes. Reopen nominations received 231 votes. I therefore declare that Sabrina Ahmed is duly elected the Guild of Students Trans and Non-Binary Students Officer for 2025-26. Well done, Sabrina.
Yarr!
Ravi, would you like to take the floor to announce the next results?
Okay, I'm going to announce Ethnic Minority Student Officer. Sorry? Okay. Okay, I'll tell about the international students who are running for this election mainly. How it's useful for them because like back in their home country, they don't know exactly what and how the UK work culture will be. Being an officer here, it will be really good experience for them to experience how the UK work culture will be. This is mainly for international students as I experienced for my personal. And now we'll go for the student officer announcement. The next part-time officer position to be announced will be Ethnic Minority Student Officer. The candidates in this elections are Amna Zaman, Sara Natango, and Sanjeev Ronak, Rio and reopen nominations. In total, there were 4,836 votes cast in the election with 3 rounds of voting. In the first round of voting, Sara Natong received 1,161 votes and Sanjeev received 717 votes. Ronak received 1,497 votes. Reopen nomination received 1,066 votes. At each round of voting, the candidates with the least amount of votes were eliminated until the successful candidate were determined. At the final stage of voting, reopen nomination was excluded with 166 votes. At the second stage of voting, Anne Sanjeev was excluded with 717 votes. In the final round of voting, Sara Notong received 1,180 votes. Ronak received 1,551 votes. I therefore declare that Ronak is duly elected the Guild Students Ethnic Minority Officer of 24-25.
Wow, I'm nervous. Thank you to my friends, team, and everyone who voted me. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Next officer is Sustainability Officer. Before announcing the next result, can I ask candidate for LGBTQ plus Student Officer and Disability Student Officer to go to the dance studio? The fourth part-time officer position to be announced will be Sustainability Student Officer. The candidates in this election are Max Williams, Alex Gona, Ishita Suhani, Payal Garg, Raghvendra Rai, Karan Singh Avana, and reopen nomination. In total, there were 4,522 votes cast in this election with 3 rounds of voting. you can view all the vote counts on the Guild website. In the first round of voting, Max Williams received 2,232 votes, Alex Gong received 840 votes, Ishita Suhani received 398 votes, Payal Garg received 587 votes, Raghavendra Rai received 73 votes, Karan Singh Awana received 344 votes, and reopen nomination received 48 votes. At the first stage of voting, reopen nomination was excluded with 48 votes. At the second stage of voting, Raghavendra Rai was excluded with 73 votes. In the third and final round of voting, Max Williams received 2,236 votes, Alex God received 840 votes, Ishita Suhani received 400 votes, Payal Garg received 587 votes, Karan Singh Awana received 345 votes. I therefore declare that Max Williams will be duly elected the Guild Sustainability of 25-26.
Oh my gosh. Oh, deja vu. I've got a speech, I've actually written it down. I'll try not to be too long. Wow, I did not expect that many votes. Yeah, I just want to say a huge thanks to my campaign team for reassuring me that what I was doing was okay and actually funny. Wasn't quite sure if the brat thing would work, but they said to go for it, and apparently it did work, so there we go. So that's Cameron, Rob, Tilly, Ethan, and Fern. I couldn't have done it without you lot, and helping me film that music video, which will be on my digital footprint forever now. Shout out to Charlie XCX as well, I guess. I also want to say a huge thank you to my girlfriend Sophie, who's been so supportive to me throughout this whole process. She helped me to relax and switch off from the elections when I got home, remind myself I actually have to have a life outside of elections. Sophie, I'm so grateful to you, and I honestly don't think I would have been able to get through this without you, so thank you. I'm nearly there. Thank you to my fellow candidates as well, particularly the ones that I spent a lot of time with this week. Your energy and support was so appreciated, and I'm so glad to have met some of you and made some new amazing friendships, because ultimately that's what all this is about. It's about having fun and enjoying ourselves, and I think I've tried to do that as best as possible. Finally, also a huge shout out to Student Voice. I know you've dealt with a lot of stuff this week, and you've provided a lot of support, and also amazing voting numbers as well, like highest voting numbers in 10 years. Well done, Student Voice. And yeah, finally, I suppose I should also say thank you to everyone who voted to re-elect me as well. That I couldn't have done it without those people as well, I guess. But yeah, so it's one more year of Sus Max.
Thank you. Alex, would you like the text to announce next?
Okay, thank you, Ravi, and for everyone for asking me to do a speech, which I will now deliver to you all. The next part-time officer position to be announced this evening will be the LGBTQ+ Students Officer. The candidates in this election are Malachy Morenton and Aidan Drinkwater, and reopen nominations. In total, there were 3,649 votes cast in this election, with 2 rounds of voting, and you can all view the votes on the Guild website. In the first round of voting, Malachy Morenton received 1,732 votes. Aidan Drinkwater received 1,705 votes. Reopen nominations received 212 votes. At the first stage of voting, reopen nominations was excluded with 212 votes. In the second and final round of voting, Malachy Morenton received 1,735 votes, and Aidan Drinkwater received 1,706 votes. I therefore declare that Malachy Morenton is duly elected the Guild of Students LGBTQ+ officer.
Yeah, say a few words. Well, that was incredibly close. How many was that? That was less than 50 votes in it, right? First of all, I'd like to thank Aidan because I can't think of a better competitor. I think it just goes to show by how close they were. Thank you to everybody who voted for me, of course. Thank you to everybody who put up with me doing this facade. Thank you to my great brain for coming up with the idea of buying Maliki.gay. I would just actually, in the speech, like to ask everybody to go to that website right now because I've put up something else that I think we can all enjoy. So if anybody wants to scan this, go to Maliki.gay, please do. Trust me, it's worth it.
There you go. Well done.
Yeah. And I hope that I serve you well next year. Thanks very much.
So we're on to the final part-time officer election result of the night, which will be the disabled students officer. Good enthusiasm, thank you. The candidates in this election are Simcha Kerbal, Olivia Bonner, and reopened nominations. In total, there were 4,009 votes cast in this election, with one round of voting. In the first round of voting, Simcha Kerbal received 1,161 votes. Olivia Bonner received 2,750 votes. Reopened nominations received 98 votes. I therefore declare that Olivia Bonner is duly elected the Guild of Students Disabled Students Officer for 2025-26. I'd like to welcome Olivia to the stage to say a few words. Okay, well, Olivia's not here, but we can give her another round of applause in her absence. Okay, so... Well, okay, so congratulations to all the new part-time officers for 2025-26. But we're going to go to a break in a minute. But before we do go for a break, can I please ask the candidates for Welfare and Community Officer to go to the dance studio for 5:25, please. So 5:25, if you're one of the welfare candidates, please go to the dance studio. We're now going to go on the short break, so we'll see you at 5:30 for the full-time officer results. Thank you.
So great to see those results. Congratulations to all the winning candidates. I'm now back with Rishi, our analyst, to get his perspective on our new officers. So Rishi, let's start with the disabled students officer. So what do you think helped them win? It was Olivia Bonner who won today, and it was brilliant. So congratulations, Olivia.
Yeah, congrats, Olivia. Well, something that I've noticed with a lot of the winners so far is that I think what's really spoken to the people who did vote for them, which is the majority, is their personal experiences. So a lot of their manifestos did involve at some point to do with their role, a lot to do with their personal experience with epilepsy for Olivia Bonner. So I think that obviously really speaks to a lot of her voters in a role that is quite a sensitive topic for a lot of people. For her to actually understand what the role would entail and what the demographic would actually have to face is probably what got her over the edge. She also had some very strong initiatives. So this peer support for similar disabilities is something that only she came up with compared to some of the other candidates. And I'm sure that really spoke to a lot of the students as well.
Brilliant. Was there anything else in her manifesto that stuck out to you?
Well, she also had this open forum rebate. So that was essentially, it was an anonymous open forum policy in which the students could feel like they could come up with any of the struggles, anything they're facing at university without having that need to be too exposed.
I think that's brilliant because I think that means, you know, the anonymous nature of it, more student voice, maybe it'll entice people to kind of speak up a bit more. So congratulations, Olivia. So what about Malachi Moranton? He won the LGBTQ+ officer, so congratulations Malachi, well done. Any opinions on their manifesto?
So he actually had a lot of similar, and again, it's another common thing between the winners. His policies also involved a lot to do with the anonymous forms, as well as a lot more transparency. So with the LGBTQ+ officer, Malachi, a lot of his rebates did involve making sure that the different sort of demographics within the community felt that they could feel transparently and they could actually represent themselves freely within the community and not feel threatened at all. And again, anonymous form was another policy that was introduced in his form as well.
Brilliant. Okay, and finally, what about our new ethnic minority students officer, Ronak? So congratulations, Ronak. Was there anything in that manifesto that stuck out to you?
So he actually tried to introduce, he's going to introduce now, a streamlined name change process. So as you know, a lot of the ethnic minority students feel like their names are like really hard to pronounce, whatever. And he wants to actually introduce this name change process, which allows the students to integrate with the community a lot better, I guess, as well as combat this isolation problem, again, through this transparency initiative.
Brilliant. I think, you know, combating the isolation one can feel at uni for whatever reason that is an amazing thing that Ronak is going to put into place as our new ethnic minority students officer. So thank you, Rishi. Very good analysis and good points there. Let's now head back to Shreya and find out what they are up to in the underground as we wait for more results to come in.
Thanks, Asha. I'm here with Max Williams, Sustainability Officer, re-elected for the second time. Max, how do you feel after winning?
Honestly, just blown away. I had a sneaky suspicion that I might do well, but I didn't think I'd do as well as I did with the amount of votes I got. So yeah, thank you to everyone who voted for me. It's amazing. Yeah.
Oh, great. Congratulations. I wanted to ask you about your manifesto. What about that stood out or resonated with voters?
I think the fact that I kind of themed my manifesto around 5 key points, so I didn't just kind of have a big list of everything. I grouped everything into thematic categories of that was ethics, lifestyle, environment, community, and transparency.
Nice. Can you tell me a little bit more about your 5 key themes?
Yeah, so they kind of all had little points within them, but I suppose I'll focus on one of my favourite ones, which is around environment, so looking at creating a recycling hub within the Guild, because I know that students have a lot of waste at home that they could struggle to recycle, things like soft plastics, makeup waste, like medical waste, batteries, that kind of thing. So I'd love to kind of bring that together into the Guild to have like a recycling hub thing, so students can feel that the Guild is really there to support them in things like recycling and stuff like that.
Absolutely, that sounds very, very eco-friendly. What's the first thing you plan to implement this year? next year?
I'd say the first thing I plan to do is going to be decided by the students. So I'd like to put out a poll about everything that I've sort of put in my manifesto, but put out a poll and ask students which of these points was most important to you, because obviously I've put through this big list and they've voted me in on this manifesto, but maybe one thing is more important than others to the students. So I want to poll them, see what they would like me to be doing, and then sort of make that my priority for what I try to do throughout the year, so that everything I'm doing is constantly student-driven and student-led, because that's what I'm here to do, is represent the students. So,
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Thank you, Max. It was great hearing what you plan to do. I think that just sounds like an exciting opportunity for students next year. But now let's get back to Asha in the studio, where she's joined by another newly elected officer.
Yeah, Lucy McCabe.
That's correct, Shreya. We are now joined by Lucy McCabe, our new women's officer. Congratulations. It's a pleasure to have you in the studio. So, how are you feeling after winning women's officer?
I think the first word that comes to mind was emotional.
Definitely, yeah.
Just so much has gone on, and I just am like so excited to get started on the role, and it's just been like, it's been a marathon, not a sprint, and I'm tired after it. So I think just everything's a bit, but I need to settle now and get started, really.
Brilliant. Well, we're excited to see what you'll do in your role. So, do you feel like for an evening, an event like this, you can ever prepare enough?
In terms of for women or like for myself?
For yourself, like emotional and mental state, as you said.
No, I don't. Sorry, I don't think you ever can prepare. No. I was. My friend is Abby Kenrick, and she was elected as DSO last year, and I was there at the election results night. And what I took away was just how random some of the voting is, and people that you've never heard of just suddenly come and take it, and you're like, where's this come from? So, that was. It was. A big thing that you can't prepare for. You can never be comfortable. You don't know how people are going to vote. Yeah. All you can do is try your best and focus on what you can control, which is your campaign, and that's what I've tried to do. I've been controlling the social media, out there flyering, talking to women, and trying to get them engaged, and I think that's worked out, so yeah.
Brilliant. Definitely, I agree with that.
Hey, so in your manifesto, you emphasise collaboration and feedback from the community. So now speaking to the mental health awareness aspect, how do you ensure that the voices of women who are struggling with mental health are heard and acted on? Yeah,
so I think there's 2 points really here. The first one is that what I want to do is I want to create a diverse working group of women to come together and really look at policies that are already implemented by the uni and suggest new ideas. So how can we change current ones and also bring in new ideas? And that is an example of bringing women to the forefront of the conversation, and that's what really needs to happen. In terms of mental health specifically, the other thing is that taking like an intersectional approach, so actually understanding that mental health can be impacted by so many things. I'm queer, I'm disabled, and that also affects me as well as being a woman and affects my mental health. So it's not just a one-size-fits-all approach to fixing these kind of things and to supporting students. We need to take account with everything. So I'd love to work with Olivia, the DSO, and also Maliki, who's the LGBT officer especially, but even Ronak with ethnic minority as well, and really get to look at everything, not just for one individual thing as being a woman as well.
100%. I think the intersectional approach is definitely a big thing. So thank you so much, Lucy. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for taking the time after the win to come and chat to us.
Of course.
So now the results are in for the full-time officer positions. So let's head back to the underground to find out what we have all been waiting for.
seat, please, when you get a chance. Yeah, get started. Quickly get started, quickly is enough for you. And of course, Diane. That's right.
No, stop heckling me, Matty. Okay, so let's get started with the first of our full-time officer roles. But before we start, can I please ask the candidates for postgraduate officer to go to the dance studio, and then we're going to move on to announce the results for welfare and community officer. The candidates in this election are Abby Kenrick, Mariam Chugtai, and reopen nominations. In total, there were 4,666 votes cast in this election, with one round of voting. And of course, as we said for all the others, you can view all the vote counts on the Guild website. In the first round of voting, Abby Kenrick received 3,160 votes, Mariam Chugtai received 1,430 votes, and reopen nominations received 76 votes. I therefore declare that Abby Kenrick is elected the Guild of Students Welfare and Community Officer.
It feels weird to be back up here again. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to everyone that voted for me. To have that many people support me is just amazing, so thank you so much. I want to say thank you to everyone that collaborated with me, that worked with me, all of the hardworking candidates. I want to shout out to the A-team and the UOB Angels. You made this election that was so difficult so much better, and I just want to say thank you to all of you for your support and your friendliness. I really appreciate it. I also want to give 3 special mentions to some very special people. First, to my sister, who without her, Lauren, I would not be on this stage right now. She was the one that told me that I would be ridiculous if I didn't take this opportunity, so thank you. I also want to mention Lucy, my best friend, who I met on the first day at this university. If it wasn't for her, I never wouldn't have even dreamed to have this opportunity. She's given me so much confidence. She's so hardworking and inspirational. She's made me the person that I am today, and I just want to say a massive thank you to her. I really appreciate her. And also, I want to say a special thanks to SANDAM, which is the Students' Association for Neurodiversity, Mental Health and Disability, particularly Iman, Charlie and Simka. They've worked so hard on all of their campaigns, and it's been a privilege to work alongside them as Disabled Students Officer, and I pledge to continue supporting them because the stuff that we work on together is so important, and I will continue our fight. So thank you, everyone.
Okay, so for the next one, I'm going to hand over to Ravi, who's going to be doing the next result for postgrad officer.
Okay, thanks, Alex. Can I ask candidate for activity and employability officer to go to the dance studio? The next full-time officer position to be announced will be postgrad officer. The candidates in this election are Dennis Marin, Anushka Bhaskar, Alisagar Dawoodi Gandhi, Imaja Kanuri, Piyush Umantan, Anamika Punjabi, and reopen nomination. In total, there were 5,100 votes cast in this election with 5 rounds of voting. In the third round of voting, Anushka Bhaskar received 1,247 votes. Alisagar Gandhi received 1,481 votes. Imaja Kanuri received 536 votes. Anamika Punjabi received 985 votes. At each round of voting, the candidates with the least amount of votes were eliminated until a successful candidate was determined. At the fourth stage of voting, Imaja Kanuri was excluded with 536 votes. At the fifth stage of voting, Anamika Punjabi was excluded with 1,111 votes. In the final round of voting, Anushka Bhaskar received 1,326 votes. Alisagar Gandhi received 1,534 votes. I therefore declare Alisagar Gandhi is duly elected the Guild of Student President, Coast Guard Officer 2526.
Whew. My God. What a roller coaster of a week, wasn't it? Okay, I don't have any speech prepared and my heart is beating through the mic right now. I'll just give a few very quick shout outs. Firstly, to my team working alongside me, a very, very big thank you for everyone who stood till the end with me. One very special mention to my very good friend, Saiteja Lela, who was with me since 5 in the morning till 5 in the morning for the entire week. My family who supported me throughout this week and the hectic month which has been before that. And lastly, and the most importantly, my girlfriend Malika, who's been my peace and my calm throughout these last 1.5 months. Thank you so much. Thank you for sticking by me. And thank you for making sure my head's in the right place every day after I came back from work. Thank you, everyone.
Next, Lara will be announcing Activity and Employability Officer.
Before I announce the next result, can I ask the candidates for international international officer to go to the dance studio? Is that right? As Ravi said, the next full-time officer position to be announced will be the Activities and Employability Officer. The candidates in the election are Matthew Widdup, Emmeline Brown, Devansh Jimnani, Megha Kabsuri, Surav Mondal, and reopen nominations. In total, there were 5,761 votes cast in this election, with 4 rounds of voting. You can view all the vote counts on the Guild website. In the second round of voting, Matthew Widdup received 828 votes. Emmeline Brown received 2,562 votes. Devansh Jimnani received 1,095 votes. Megha Kabsuri received 644 votes, and Surav Mondal received 521 votes. At each round of voting, the candidate with the least amount of votes were eliminated until a successful candidate was determined. At the second stage of voting, Surav Mondal was excluded with 521 votes. At the third stage of voting, Megha Kabsuri was excluded with 654 votes. In the final round of voting, Matthew Widdup received 844 votes, Emmeline Brown received 2,603 votes, and Devansh Jimnani received 1,121 votes. I therefore declare Emmeline Brown is duly elected as a Guild of Students Activities and Employability Officer 2025-26. Well done, Emmeline. Sorry. Congratulations. Well done.
Oh, I might need to go on my tiptoes. Words. I cannot wait for next year, basically, to represent students and the Guild. I'm really, really excited for this opportunity. I want to say thank you to my best friend Katie, who has kept me sane throughout this whole process, has just been an amazing campaign manager, and to the A-team, you guys are awesome and have got me through everything, and I really do appreciate everything that's come out of this and all of your friendships. Thank you.
Next up, Ravi will be announcing the results for International Officer.
I'm excited to be announcing the result for International Officer. before I announce the result, can I ask candidate for education officer to go to the dance studio? The candidates in this election for international officer are Mohammad Yusuf Ozdemir, Tanish Aku, Simra Suhail Imandar, Dolby Gautam, Lania Ashley Williams, Preet Vervanik, Atira Ajay, Joy John, and reopen nomination. In total, there were 5,705 votes cast in this election with 8 rounds of voting. At each round of voting, the candidates with the least amount of votes were eliminated until a successful candidate was determined. You can view all the votes, obviously counts, on the Guild website. In the 6th round of voting, Lania Ashley Williams was excluded with 769 votes. In the 7th round of voting, Preet Vervanik was excluded with 874 votes, which left 2 candidates. In the final round of voting, Tanish Aku received 1,029 votes. Simra Imandar received 1,152 votes. I therefore declare Simra Imandar a Guild International Officer of 24-26.
Wow, it was a really hard week, I'll admit to that. Thank you to everyone who supported me, and a very, very special thank you to my mom, my dad, and my sister, who used to pick up my calls every day when I used to cry and tell them that I want to back out, I don't think I can take this anymore. So thank you everyone who voted for me. I hope to do my best. Thank you.
I now hand over to Alex for education.
So before we announce the education officer result, can I ask the candidates for sports officer to go to the dance studio, if you so wish? Okay, so it's the main attraction, it's the education officer role now. The candidates in this election are Jacob Dyke, Fionn Williams, Sophie Smith, Ritakshi Maheshwari, Samadrita Sarkar, Rajveer Singh Rathore, and reopen nominations. In total, there were 5,836 votes cast in this election with 6 rounds of voting. And of course, you can view all the vote counts on the Guild website. In the 4th round of voting, Jacob Dyke received 1,814 votes. Fionn Williams received 947 votes. Sophie Smith received 664 votes. And Samadrita Sarkar received 1,313 votes. At each round of voting, the candidates with the least amount of votes were eliminated until a successful candidate was determined. At the 4th stage of voting, Sophie Smith was excluded with 664 votes. At the 5th stage of voting, Fionn Williams was excluded with 989 votes. In the 6th and final round of voting, Jacob Dyke received 1,884 votes. Samadrita Sarkar received 1,407 votes. I therefore declare that Jacob Dyke is duly elected as the Guild of Students Education Officer for 25-26. So, Jacob's not able to join us tonight, but can we just give him another big round of applause? Because, yeah. Congratulations, Jacob, if you are watching. I'll now hand over to Lara for the sports officer results.
Thanks, Alex. Can I ask the candidates for Guild President to go to the dance studio? As Alex said, the next full-time officer position to be announced will be Sports Officer. The candidates in this election are Abhijit Patel, Thanishka Ramagoda, Daniel White, and reopen nominations.
In total, there were 5,491 votes cast in this election, with 3 rounds of voting. In the first round, Abhijit Patel received 2,171 votes. Thanishka Ramagoda received 1,952 votes. Daniel White received 1,145 votes. Reopened nominations received 223 votes. At the first stage of voting, reopened nominations was excluded with 223 votes. At the second stage of voting, Daniel White was excluded with 1,145 votes. In the final round of voting, Abhijit Patel received 2,222 votes. Thanishka Ramagoda received 2,001 votes. I therefore declare that Abhijit Patel is duly elected the Guild of Officer Student Sports Officer for 2025-26.
It's been a long run. Since 5 days we are campaigning in the university. Thank you everyone who supported me and voted for me. Thank you.
Alex, can you come back to the stage to announce our winner of Guild President?
Okay, I've got to pause for a few minutes so while we wait for some of the candidates. So I will give you a speech. What would you like a speech on, Charlie? Well, we've got a record number of reps this year. We've got 1,800 reps, 43% increase on last year, and of course I've inspired them all. No. It's true. Cool, we're all good. Okay, enough about me. So we've reached the final officer position to be announced this evening, which of course is Guild President. The candidates in this election are Antonia Listrat, Samira Bindu Nair, Saeed Sadat, Randolph Fields, Vanshika Agarwal, Atu Ruhal, and reopened nominations. In total, there were 6,745 votes cast in this election, with 6 rounds of voting. In the 4th round of voting, Antonia Listrat received 1,786 votes. Samira Bindu Nair received 835 votes. Saeed Sadat received 1,605. Atul Ruhal received 982 votes. At each round of voting, the candidates with the least amount of votes were eliminated until a successful candidate was determined. At the 4th stage of voting, Samira Bindu Nair was excluded with 835 votes. At the 5th stage of voting, Atul Ruhal was excluded with 1,020 votes. In the final round of voting, Antonia Listrat received 1,852 votes. Saeed Sadat received 1,709 votes. I therefore declare that Antonia Listrat is duly elected the Guild of Students President for 2025-26. Antonia, if you'd like to come to the stage to say a few words.
Thank you so much to, sorry, I'm still shaking. Thank you so much to everyone who believed in me. It was the toughest week of my life. I've campaigned so much the whole week, and it means so much to me for everyone who campaigned with me from morning till night. And it means so much for having this opportunity to stand here and trying to make a change in the Guild. Because, like I said, the Guild Council Chambers is being dedicated to the students that campaigned against the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa. There's a golden plaque for them there. And at the same time, I'm being threatened with expulsion for my activism. So it means so much to me that I have this opportunity to make change. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, that concludes the announcements of the results for the 2025-26 Guild Officer Team elections. Can we please give a warm round of applause to all the candidates for their hard work campaigning over the last 5 days? Congratulations to all the winning candidates. On behalf of the current Guild Officer team, I wish you all the best for a successful and fun year ahead. Could all the officers-elect please approach the stage for a group photograph? Guild TV would also like to interview you as well, so please head down to their studio in the basement. And of course, you're all welcome to join us for food, which you can find at the back of the room by the bar. Thank you for coming along tonight. Have a safe journey home, and we'll see you all next year. Thank you.
Congratulations to all the winning candidates. We will be back with you soon after a very short break for some more interviews. Well, we have a new leader of your guild for the next academic year. Thank you to all of the candidates and congratulations to those elected. We look forward to seeing the changes you will implement. Now we are joined again by our analyst Rishi and our newly elected welfare officer, Abby Kenrick. A huge congratulations on your new position. How are you feeling?
Thank you. I mean, it still feels like it's not happened. I mean, just the whole nerves of this election has really gotten to everyone, I think. So I think, you know, this night has been really sort of the pinnacle of that. There's been a lot of emotions, and I think that's valid. But yeah, I'm really excited, and it means a lot to be elected with the people that I've worked with in this election as well. So I'm really excited for the next year. Yeah.
Amazing.
Congratulations. So you've committed to providing more efficient, accessible wellbeing support. In your opinion, on the theme of mental health, what is the most urgent mental health issues facing students today? And how will you work to ensure that they receive the necessary care and attention?
I think at the moment, because I've been working in disabled students officer position over the last year, I would say that the detriment on disabled students' mental health has been, you know, particularly bad, and it's something that I've worked on quite hard over the last year. So being able to bring in external charities, to be able to get one-to-one support with Guild Advice, that's something that I'm really committed to, and just making sure that those voices are heard as well, making sure that we have contribution groups that people can feed back into, and just, yeah, really elevating the voices of our minority and our marginalised communities. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Furthermore on your manifesto, it mentions the need for accessible resources to combat student poverty, including like the community pantry, for example. Do you have any further related ideas that you plan to implement this year?
I think the community pantry is a great thing. Dean started a couple of years ago, and I think to be able to make that more apparent around campus in different locations, different times, that would be something that I would really want to work on, because I think it's a resource that everyone should have access to. And yeah, just to have that as an option for people before they start their lectures in the morning. I think there's definitely other stuff that we can work on. What the need is for that, I'm not sure yet, but I'd definitely like to set up contribution groups around cost of living crisis, mental health services, and just really make sure that the student actually has a voice in the initiatives they want to see. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Abby. We'll look forward to seeing the positive changes you are going to make in your time as welfare officer. So congratulations again, and thank you for taking the time out of your evening to come and chat to us. So we are now going to hear from Shreya in the underground with another winning candidate.
That's right, Asha. I'm now here with Ali, our newly appointed postgraduate officer. Ali, congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
How was the build-up leading to tonight, and how did that compare with finding out you were successful?
Every hour of today was stressful. Every minute felt like an hour today. And the minute right before the announcement was going to happen, my heartbeat was super loud. But I'm really happy up with the outcome, and I'm really looking forward to this role now.
Yeah, well, you did really well. What are you most looking forward to implementing in your newly appointed role?
So one of my biggest points for which I was running was to solve the cost of living crisis and the mental well-being. So that's my bigger goals. So I'm going to start focusing on that since day one now.
Good. You mentioned well-being. Can you expand on that, please?
So my entire thing towards well-being was that due to the cost of living for postgraduate students, most of them are international students, such as me, coming from a foreign land. They're alone here. They go through depression. The weather doesn't help. And we come here, we pay for accommodation, tuition, transportation, food, beverages. Due to that, we need to do part-times outside to make our ends meet. Doing all of these things, postgraduates, especially international ones, fall back on academics. And when the time comes for examinations, assignments, there's a lot of clutter, there's a lot of stress which is put on them, and they go to the university for the well-being team. Now the university well-being team is super occupied, I get that. There are a lot of people coming in, and the appointments are coming after months and months, which doesn't help the postgraduate year because they're just going through that thing in the mindset again and over and over again. So I want the university I want to work towards a certain department which will help postgraduates access well-being much quicker and faster so that they come here and concentrate more on their academics, which they are here for. So that is some of my policies I want to implement in an immediate basis.
Wow, that sounds great. I completely agree with what you're saying. Is there anything else you'd like to tell
Super excited to work with all the fellow officers who've been elected today and looking forward to this next year. Yeah.
Great, thank you, and congratulations again, Ali.
Thank you so much.
We're heading back to the studio now.
Thankfully.
Well, welcome back, and we are now joined with Emmeline Brown, our new Activities and Employability Officer, so a huge congratulations. How are you feeling?
It's still settling in that I actually made it. I'm just really, really excited to get started and represent students and the Guild next year.
Brilliant.
Hi, Emmeline. I actually had you to as one of the candidates to keep an eye on, so I'm glad I got one of my predictions right. But your manifesto emphasises creating a sense of community within the Guild. That was the sort of standout point in your compared to the other candidates. So how do you envision using this sense of belonging to reduce the stress and mental health challenges for the students?
So for me, in my first year, I wasn't a big part of the Guild. I only really got involved with the Guild in my second year through Panto and Guild Drama. And I saw a massive increase in my grades, my just well-being, my happiness, and I want other people to feel that. I feel like in first year, people are kept out of the loop of how amazing the Guild is as a place of figuring things out about yourself, learning new things, trying new things out, and meeting new people. And the people I've met through Guild Drama specifically, and I'm sure other people can vouch for other societies, has made me the person I am today and has uplifted my mood. I know if I'm struggling with anything, with assignments, I'll have Panto rehearsals, for example, to put a smile on my face, and I want other people to be able to experience that in the Guild with a sense of belonging and community.
100%. So even just now, you've mentioned sort of the importance of better integration and better involvement within the societies. And in your manifesto is very much like the different society types and getting them really joined together. So how do you plan on doing this so far?
So I think there's so much we can learn from different types of societies, whether it's drama and performance like Buds, whether it's a religious society, whether it's a slightly different type of society, Doctor Who. I think that, there is so much that we can learn from other societies. I mentioned in my manifesto on my Instagram about doing some sort of event with committee members of societies, because I think they're in very similar positions, being the figureheads of societies, and I think by communicating with each other, they can learn a lot. And a rogue example I have is I'm currently working on Sherlock Holmes, the pantomime, and maybe Panto working with Tabletop Society, we're doing a Cluedo game night. I think that there can be so much integration that maybe hasn't been explored in the past that can be explored now.
Brilliant. And so you say you're so involved with the Panto and the Sherlock Holmes and the Cluedo, and everything sounds fabulous. So how do you balance, or did you balance, your social life with your friends, also your family, and then with this big campaign? Because it's been a long time.
It has.
Campaigning.
You've always got to use the people around you as it's okay to lean back on them. I had a brilliant campaign manager, Katie, who was my sanity, basically. But also just through campaigning, I learnt so much. Even if I wasn't going to be successful through getting the position, I was going to talk about this campaigning for years to come because I've learnt so much, and the people around me have been amazing. It's been difficult to balance things. I might have neglected my degree slightly for a couple of days, but
We've all been there.
yeah, we have, haven't we? But it's all been worth it in the end.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Emmeline. Really inspiring things you're saying. So thank you so much. And that is Emmeline Brown, our new Activities and Employability Officer. We are now going to throw back to Shreya in the underground, who is with another winning candidate.
Thanks, Sasha. I'm here with our Guild President, Antonia Listra.
Hello.
Antonia, how does it feel to be successful tonight?
It feels amazing. I was questioning it, I started to doubt myself, but I'm really, really glad that people believed in me and that I was successful in the end.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. You've done really well. What are you most looking forward to implementing in your newly appointed role?
Yeah, so I'm mostly forward I'm also looking forward to building up our student power and democratizing the student union, because the reason why I won is because it was easier to get support from the United Nations than to get support from the Guild of Students. As many people know, the university is trying to expel me basically for protesting against their complicity in the genocide in Palestine. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to building our power and making sure that the Guild focuses on issues that affect us and that something that amplifies our voices.
Great, it's great to hear from you. So who are your biggest supporters of your campaign, or anyone here tonight?
Yeah, so I want to thank all the people that believed in me. I want to thank everyone that has spoken to me throughout the day. I haven't met a single person that hasn't been successful after telling them my story and why I'm running and what I'm trying to achieve. So yes, I want to thank every single one of my supporters.
Amazing, thank you, and congratulations again. That's all from me tonight. It's been a great evening down here in the Underground. We're heading back to the studio now.
Thank you so much, Shreya, for being our eyes in the Underground this evening. So what a night. The atmosphere has been brilliant and we have seen so many talented candidates and ideas. Thank you as well to our analyst, Rishi, for the insightful knowledge this evening.
No, thanks for having me. I'm excited to see what the new officers actually have to bring for the coming year. So yeah, bring it on.
100% bring it on. So a very big congratulations for all the newly elected candidates. Thank you to all the interviewees and you at home for watching. But that's all from us. I've been your presenter, Asha, and this has been Guild TV covering the Guild Elections Results Night 2025. Thank you for watching, see you next year, and good night.